What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you joining me for another video. And before we get into the video, just know that in the description there is a link for Green Gridiron where you can get mini helmets or authentic NFL helmets. Okay, and make sure to use the discount code INDSYN at checkout and use that referral code down in the description so that they know I sent you. Okay, so again, go to the description. Holiday season coming up. Mini helmets, mini helmet accessories, helmet accessories, whatever the case may be. You want it for you, your man cave, a loved one, whatever the case is. Mini helmets and authentic NFL helmets can be found on Green Gridiron. The link in the description. Again, that is code INDSYN for the discount code. I appreciate you stopping by. And now let's get into the video. What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today I want to talk a little bit about coach, right? There have been some things that have been said and some things that typically a coach would be held accountable for, and he needs to, right? He is the leader of the team, but there are different things that I've seen, different things that I've heard, and I have my own opinions on it, right? There are a lot of people talking about, oh, Shane needs to be gone, right? Hey, this could be the end for Shane already, right? After last year, we went 9-8 with mostly Gardner Minshew, and even Anthony Richardson at the beginning of the year helped us beat the Texans. He also almost came back to beat the Rams, right? And it's one thing we've seen from Anthony through all his flaws is that usually it's at least a close game. By the end of it, like, we have a chance, right? The Jaguars game is his first game of his career. I think Jaguars scored late to really push that one out of reach for real. But I think that, for the most, outside of a mistake, by him in that game, really had us in that game for most of the time. And we saw it in the games last year. We saw it this year. Even when it was bad and he was having, bad numbers, right? We also, of course, we know, the receivers and the rest of the team wasn't really helping him. Play calling not always on his side either. And overall, I think we ended up in a position where Shane has been put in an impossible position, and it's unfortunate for him, right? He's got this young quarterback, like really young quarterback that he believes in, that we all see the talent that AR possesses and what he's capable of doing, and what it all comes down to. See, my take this whole time is that it's more of a professionalism and maturity kind of thing that you get from Anthony, right? Talking about leadership, right? Just being the leader that you need to be for this group of guys, and part of that is just maturation. So there's a little give and take in that whole situation, where I've been the whole time, right? But Shane does have a hand in that. He's the head coach and he's the offensive play caller. Okay, and seemingly has regressed a little bit in terms of play calling. There are just different times where it's like, do we have Frank Reich again? Like, what are you doing here? All the times in the fourth quarter where Jonathan Taylor's just not touching the field. The times in the second half where Jonathan Taylor's not getting the ball. Like, at some point, coaches have to be held accountable too, and I think that's what a lot of Colts fans are doing right now. Outwardly speaking against Shane Steichen on social medias and all over the place. So I just see what everybody's saying, and then I always highlight back to what the players have said, right? Yeah, and of course this was last year, but EJ Speed and a few of the post game win cam type things that the Colts do, right? The Colts cam after they win a game. EJ Speed a couple times last year, in Shane we trust, right? And then on the podcast, Zaire and EJ have talked about Shane, like the things that they talk about. And there are some things like when somebody's just towing the party line, you can tell, right? Like, there are things that people say that's like, okay, these guys believe in Shane, right? Kenny Moore had strong words about the team a couple days ago. Well, he ends up talking to the media again yesterday, and what Kenny had to say about head coach Shane Steichen was, quote, "I've always known that Shane was the guy for the job. He's one hell of a leader for this team, this city, and I just want to do my best for him. I know it was very important to me, coming back and playing for Coach Shane. So that right there, like part of that is definitely towing the company line, right? You know, I've always known Shane was the guy for the job, one hell of a leader, you know, for the city. Would just want to do my best for him. Like that sounds like, you know, just a guy talking about his coach the way you'd expect every player to talk about his coach. But then to come out and say, and I know it was very important to me coming back and playing for Coach Shane, which is something Kenny's talked about before. When he came back last year and re-signed with us, that was something he had talked about was, hey, I decided to come back after I had some conversations with Shane. Right. And Kenny's a guy that's been here for a while. He's talking about people not wanting to work. This makes me think that there's internal conversations that have happened between team leadership and coach about, hey, some of the team, we have guys that don't put in the work, and which led Kenny to say what he said. Right, like he wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. Julian Blackman even kind of had his own excerpt here from at Drop Balls at Drop Balls Pod, CeeLou on Twitter. Somebody we mentioned here on the channel quite a bit, and he, had a screenshot from something that Julian had said. He said, from my standpoint, I feel like it's hard for me to call out names or anything like that, but there's definitely more than what meets the eye. It definitely bleeds over to what happens in game. You see the same things in practice that we see on Sundays, and it's no surprise, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating to be a defense that takes the ball away, do everything that we can, but that's what we signed up for. We've got to continue to try to do that, figure out an identity that we believe in as a team in order to turn this thing around. So the defense seems to very clearly, and from what Zaire said, the defense very clearly calling out the offense, okay? For all the heat the defense took at the beginning of the year, and they took it on the chin. They said, we need to get better. We need to get better. Well, the defense has worked on getting better. The offense, it sounds like the offense is not working to get better. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes. That's where Ryan Kelly is supposed to be, right? One of the leaders of the offense. Quentin Nelson, one of the leaders of the offense. And just, of course, Anthony Richardson. A lot of this comes back to Anthony Richardson, and there are a lot of people starting to talk about the things that we've talked about on this channel about how Anthony being benched is not due to his performance. It's due to what's up here, man, between his ears. It's all due to maturity. It's all due to leadership, to professionalism, to knowing how to put in the work. Right now, an issue is are they in the building? Like, is everybody showing him and telling him what it is to become a successful NFL quarterback, the work that goes into that, the accountability to everybody else in the building, which could be a big part of it, right? If people on the offense aren't being held to a standard, then it's the job of the quarterback and the coach to get them there, okay? The quarterback is more hands-on. A player is for the players. That's the way that goes. Right, he will a great quarterback will echo the sentiments of his head coach, but the quarterback is supposed to be the player coach, right? The on-field player coach. That's the job of the quarterback, man. And so I just feel like, again, Shane was put in an impossible position. He sees some development that AR needs to go through, which is why he's letting Joe lead right now. But overall on the offense, like, who's going to hold the offense accountable? Where are we going to get accountability on the offense to start working? Okay, because you look at, we have dogs on defense. A lot of the times when I mention, man, we got some dogs on this team, you got to let them off the leash. I'm talking about the guys on defense, and it seems like there's a reason we don't talk about the offensive guys like that, right? Even earlier this season, what was it, the Packers game, when Quentin Nelson was about to have a massive block and he hits the guy and then but doesn't hit him all the way, and then is trying to help him on the ground or whatever. That's supposed to be our nasty guy on the offense, and that's what's happening. The offense is soft. Sharman's soft, and Shane is a big part of that. So that is why a lot of people are talking about, should Shane lose his job? And in my opinion, I don't think so. I think there are things that need to change. I think personnel needs to change. I think there are a lot of guys that are going to be free agents this offseason that it's time to finally just let these guys go. And let them do their own thing, figure it out. Hey, let's start to really rebuild this thing around the quarter. You can't have people like that. You can't have your quarterback not holding them accountable. So still, in the end, I still believe, the future is Anthony Richardson. We just got to be patient with that situation. And overall, I think keeping Shane here with Anthony to continue the development, like keep him together, and keep the offense together. Now, if we go a year, next after 2025 season or after 2026 season, and it very clearly is not changing and getting better, and Anthony hasn't developed, and we're still a bad football team, yeah, then I'd say Shane Steichen needs to be out. That's when you really rebuild, right? Like if the AR thing doesn't work out, especially if you get a new GM, if this AR thing doesn't work out after 2025 and Shane can't develop them, then you just take it all. Offense, defense, the whole coaching staff, the quarterback, you just start new, right? Don't sign any more long-term contracts past 2026. And unless, it's a guy like Latu that you want to secure for the future, if you can, if you would want to be here. But we're staring down the potential of a rebuild. So I think just starting that this offseason, get a new GM, let a bunch of these guys go that are supposed to be free agents. We talked earlier about getting Dio back and re-signing Dio, but a lot of guys that are going to be free agents, just let them go. And let's start bringing in a new crop of talent, get some free agents, some guys that can perform right now. Draft picks, compensatory picks is what we'll get for a lot of the guys that leave the building. So that's how you rebuild it, and then that's what I'm seeing is going to happen. Assuming we don't make the playoffs, the way things are going, we might be a top 10 pick in the draft. So, of course, I'll keep you guys updated. With more content, any updates that the Colts have, if anything changes or any news that comes out, I'll get to you guys as soon as I possibly can. So make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you continue to get notified whenever we have more content dropping on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.